Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Travis and this is Bacon and Backpacking. Today we're going to be talking about how you stay warm in the winter while you're hiking, camping, or backpacking. Stay tuned. There is no such thing as like one product or one item of clothing that you can wear that's going to cover all situations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you a layering system that is going to be effective no matter what conditions that you're going to find yourself in. Hope you appreciate the effort because it's about 30 degrees outside right now and I'm just standing here in a base layer. So the base layer is the first thing I want to talk about. It's probably the most important part of the kit. This is going to be the part that contacts your skin. So a couple things. We do not want cotton because cotton kills. Basically the thing with cotton is once it gets wet, it's going to stay wet and you're going to be freezing. You can't have that for your base layers. This is polypropylene. It's kind of fallen out of favor over the years. The U.S. military still uses it as their base layer. They do have better, better fabrics and stuff now, like merino wool or really anything that's like a synthetic, like polyester or something like that. Just make sure you don't use cotton. But we're looking for a couple of different things here. We want to be comfortably cool. We want to make sure that we're not sweating, okay? And that's why we're going to use the layering system. This base layer, like I said, again, is polypropylene and is actually made by a company named Terramar. And they have these on Amazon. I think the bottoms and the tops are like 20 bucks a piece or something like that. Compare that to like a merino wool base layer that's going to be 150, 180 bucks or something like that. All right, so next up, things get a little bit colder. For me personally, that's when the temperature drops below about 20 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a midweight base layer. This one's made by REI. This one is 100% polyester. For the price, this has worked out for me pretty well. So like I said, once the temperature gets down around like below 20 degrees, I'll generally wear this and then my outer layer while I'm on the move on the trail. All right, so next, this is just my outer layer. This kind of works for me again because I run kind of hot. So this is just obviously a t-shirt and then these are just hiking pants. Both of these are made by a company called Kuhl. It's K-U-H-L, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. You can find them at REI. These pants are about 100 bucks or maybe they're like 110, I think actually. But anyways, again, it's all synthetic material. They're actually treated with a water repellent. So when you have light rain, it'll just bead and run off. They dry super quickly. And then the shirt is same type of deal. It is a 100% synthetic material. And again, we're talking about just hiking guys like on the trail. I literally wear this down to about 20 degrees. Now, this isn't going to work out very well in camp for me, okay? So that's where these next couple of layers that you're going to see start coming in handy. All right, so the next layer up, this is going to be for, whenever I'm maybe taking a break on trail to eat lunch or something like that when it's cold. And then definitely once I'm done with like my camp chores, like I'm done gathering firewood, stuff like that, and it's time to actually like sit down. So once you start cooling down a little bit, I put on a down jacket. So this is the REI 650 2.0. I actually have a video on this. It was one of the first videos I did when I started my channel. Really like this thing, especially for the money. I mean, this is a sub $100 down jacket. And I've been super happy with it, over the last year plus. So you may be asking, hey, you added a layer to your upper body, but not to your legs. Typically, I don't. If I was going to add a third layer to my legs, what I would probably do is one of two things. Either I would have my lightweight base layer on and then put a midweight base layer on top of that, okay? Or I would have a shell, like my rain pants or something like that. All right, so up next, I actually haven't used this piece of gear yet. I bought this at the end of winter last year because I got an amazing sale on it. So this is the Mountain Hardware fleece. This thing's normally listed for like $160 to $180. I got this thing for like 95 bucks, okay? So couldn't pass it up. I'm gonna use this one of two ways, okay? I'm gonna use this either in place of the down jacket or in addition to the down jacket if it's super cold outside. So there's pros and cons to down and fleece. So down is by far much more lighter, much more packable, and its warmth to weight ratio is fantastic. Downside of down: if it gets wet at all, the down will clump up, you will lose all of your insulation. This is, if it's an environment where it's going to be very wet, that's a real risk you run. Or if you make the mistake of hiking in your down jacket, that thing's not only going to get wet, but it's also going to get the oil from your skin is going to seep through and it's going to coat that down and it's going to keep it clumped. like it's not going to dry and it's not going to work. That will not happen with a fleece, okay? So that's one advantage of fleece. It does a little bit better if you think that you might get wet. And then something else that nobody really thinks about, your down jacket. If you're too close to the fire while you have that thing on and you catch an ember, it'll burn a hole in your down jacket. And any of you who have down products, you know, little feathers and pieces of down will start poking up through there and you'll start losing insulation. Again, with the fleece, not going to have to worry about that. First of all, it's probably not going to burn a hole in it, and second of all, if it does, you know, you're not really going to lose any insulation or anything like that. All right, so next piece of gear, and I want you guys to understand, it doesn't always step up in order like this, right? You could just have like a base layer and an outer layer and then your shell, okay? You might not have, you know, a fleece or, you know, like a puffy on underneath this, right? So it just depends on the conditions, but right now is a perfect example, right? There's some precipitation starting to come down, and I don't want my warming layers underneath to get wet. Two, it is going to help break the wind, okay? I can't, this thing provides no insulation, right? It's paper thin. But what it does do is it keeps that wind off you, and I can tell you, I feel literally like 10 degrees warmer right now just putting this on. A couple things you need to watch with your rain gear. I don't care if it's a $400 Gore-Tex rain jacket, okay, or if it's this $10 Frog Togs jacket. You are going to start sweating inside rain gear if you are not careful, okay? If it's light precipitation like this and you're hiking, I definitely wouldn't have something like this on under it, okay? At the most, I'd have a base layer. But a lot of people, you know, underestimate the effectiveness of like how much warmer that's going to keep you. I've never really used like a wind shell. You know, I take rain gear no matter what anyways, because if you think it's not going to rain, it's going to rain, right? And you're going to take the rain gear anyhow, and it's going to serve, you know, most of the function that a wind shirt would anyways. So, you know, why not just take the rain gear, right? All right, well, let's talk about accessories real quick. So it's very rare you're going to see me wearing gloves, okay? You know, when I'm hiking, I stay pretty warm, and also too, like I'm doing a bunch of recording and stuff for YouTube, right? So I like kind of having like my hands free. Generally what I'll do is if one hand gets cold, I stick it in a pocket and I'm carrying like the tripod with the other hand, and I'll rotate, you know, when it's cold, okay? So I'll do that. I did want to tell you guys though about these North Face gloves that I have. These are called the Gordon E-tips. They work pretty well. They have this like fabric on like the fingertips that still allows you to interact with like the phone screen, and they actually do like a pretty good job. So these would be great to be wearing, you know, in camp. But gloves are just a thing I just don't really find myself wearing very often. If it's below 20 degrees, you'll see me wearing gloves. All right, so up top here, I want to show you guys a couple different things. So one, you see that I switched beanies. The other one that I had on, that coyote tan, that's the actual issue USMC beanie, and I'm not sure, you know, what fabric that is, but it's definitely synthetic. This is made by Magpul, and this is a merino wool beanie, and it's in a very noticeable color. As you'll see, this is in blaze orange. This is something not a lot of people think about, okay? A lot of times when you're hiking in the winter, it is deer season. I would highly recommend that you have something that makes you visible. If you guys notice, my personal preferences for clothing, especially outdoor clothing, are kind of like earth tones and you know, like drab clothing choices and stuff like that. It's really good to have something that separates you, you know, out from the environment, so you know you are unmistakably human. Real quick, I want to talk about things to wear around your neck. So if you had a, you know, like a down jacket or something like that that had a hood, that would probably be sufficient. I like having a neck gaiter though, rather than a hood, because what if, you know, the wind's blowing real bad, right? But I'm hiking, so I don't want to wear my down jacket while I'm hiking. So now do I just have a cold neck? No, I could have like a balaclava, you know, or like a neck gaiter or something like that. And it generally doesn't take much. You just need like something to break the wind. And right now, as you guys can see, it's cold, it's windy, it's snowing, and just having this thin, you know, summer weight material is still keeping my neck pretty warm. There's a huge difference having it versus not. So again, it's kind of like that layering mentality. You know, no matter what the conditions are, I can be comfortable no matter what, because I can peel, you know, layers on and off, right? So that's the idea. All right, guys, so probably one of the last couple things I want to talk about here is socks. So I always have a couple pairs of spare socks with me no matter what the season is, but in the winter especially. If something gets wet, you want to be able to get, you know, into something dry, which also leads me to something you should have in your pack. You should have some sort of like microfiber towel in your pack as well too. They don't weigh much. The one that I have weighs, I think, 1 ounce. You know, it comes in clutch if you end up getting wet. So a couple different things. I wear like a lightweight sock while I hike, okay? I don't wear thick winter socks while I hike. It makes your shoes not fit correctly. Actually, my feet get too hot, okay? I will bring 1 pair of a heavyweight sock. These are the REI ones actually, and I think these are like the Scandinavian rating or something like that. These are just to sleep in. Right now I have on Darn Tough socks, and that is just a normal weight sock. So I'll have a couple of pairs of those for hiking and moving around in, and then I'll have 1 pair of these to sleep in. All right, and then obviously there is footwear. So these are my La Sportiva boots. These are actually Gore-Tex. People have a lot of mixed opinions on Gore-Tex boots, and people say you're gonna get wet no matter what. I'm gonna be honest with you. I live in Ohio. I've done plenty of sub-freezing you know, backpacking trips. My feet have never been wet. Everybody says no matter what, they're going to get soaked. I don't know. Might be the case. Maybe I'm just lucky and it just never happens to me. But I'll tell you what, these things are warm and they are, I mean, in my opinion, waterproof. I have walked through, you know, deep water in these things and I have never got a splash of water on me. And I have stayed warm, like I said, again, down to about 15 degrees. Just sitting here in camp with what I'm wearing right now, with just these normal weight socks and these boots, right? And you know, and sometimes I have a fire, sometimes I don't, right? So my opinion, based off of my experiences, are that Gore-Tex boots are worth it. You know, if you can keep your feet dry for the entire trip, that's what you should be trying to do. So don't forget, you know, about all of the things that protect your extremities. Gloves or mittens, quality socks, multiple pairs of them, and right footwear for the conditions. We talked about what to do while you're moving, but once you're stationary, completely different ball game. So let's talk a little bit about what we're gonna do while we're camping. The first obvious thing is fire. Okay, that's going to be something that's going to keep you super warm. I'm not going to go like, you know, super far into that, okay? I'm just going to give you a couple different tricks that you can use sitting around camp to stop from getting cold. First of all, use the layering system. That's when you're going to add on more clothes, okay? You'll probably need to add the gloves. You'll probably need to add like the gaiter. You'll probably need to put on the shell, stuff like that. So you see here I have the Hillinox Chair Zero. I do have a video reviewing this chair on my channel. If you guys want to go check it out, I'll put a link in the description down below. So if you guys have like a sleeping bag or a quilt, you know, you could, while you're sitting around camp in your chair or on your sit pad or something like that, you could use that to drape around you. I like bringing like a military poncho liner or whoopee. These things are like 40 bucks. I mean, this one I just have. I didn't pay anything for it. If you get your little poncho liner, he only weighs about 1 pound, but I'm sitting on it, so it's covering up any wind coming in, you know, underneath and then from the back and like around the sides and stuff. I mean, you could sit here, be pretty darn comfy, you know, with this on, especially if you're sitting around a fire. You know, you got fire up here, it's gonna be radiating a lot of heat, and this is gonna kind of help trap that in a little bit. So a lot of different ways, you know, you could use this to definitely add some degrees to your comfortability. All right, so with your shelter system, guys, I actually have a video coming out next week on my entire hammock setup, okay? So that is going to be much more detailed than this. For right now, I want to cover the basics. Whether you're in a tent, a hammock, a tarp, doesn't matter. You need it to do a couple of different things. 1, it needs to be able to block the wind. 2, it needs to be able to keep you dry. And then 3, it needs to be able to keep you insulated and keep you warm. So underneath here, we do have a hammock, okay? It's the War Bonnet Blackbird. I have a 20-degree top quilt and a 20-degree under quilt, okay? I'm not going to get wet and I'm not going to get blasted with wind in this thing. The type of clothing you wear with your sleep system is going to just depend on like how hot of a sleeper you are. In my 20-degree setup, you know, I've taken that down to about 15 degrees and didn't really get cold. And for that, I was literally just wearing like my Polypro lightweight base layer, my beanie and my neck gaiter because I have a quilt, so there's no like hood like there is on a mummy bag. And I think at first I had a fleece, not this fleece but a different one. I had that on, got too hot, took it off, and then I think early in the morning around like 4 a.m. I woke up just a little bit chilly and I put it back on. That's why I like having the gear shelf in the hammock, and we'll show you that here in a second, where you can stash like additional clothing layers should you need to, you know, take them on and off throughout the night. But in general, guys, though, be patient. I know it sucks when you get ready to go to sleep, when you have to take everything off and strip down to that base layer if it's like 20 degrees outside. I know that that's uncomfortable, but that's what you need to do, or you're going to overheat. You're going to sweat a whole bunch. Again, if your quilts and stuff or your bags are down, that will affect their performance if they get soaked. And if you're out on a multi-day trip, it's going to cause you problems in the subsequent days, okay? Your sleep system won't be able to do what it's supposed to do. Same thing when you wake up in the morning and it's time to go hiking, okay? I know you have to get out of that warm bag or that warm quilt, and it's going to suck. I know you want to leave the jacket on and everything. Once you step on the trail, we need to take off, you know, these layers like this, okay? Or else you're going to sweat a bunch. You're going to be miserable when you cool down, all right? All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Without you guys, the channel doesn't exist. Let's go ahead and push the gas pedal on the subscribes here. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers. It's a huge milestone for me. You know, I never envisioned the channel would, you know, make it this far this fast. So if you want to see some more content, go ahead and sub to the channel. Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. And then, you know, if you guys have any other tips, tricks, or anything, and you can help some people out in the comment section, go ahead and put some of your cold weather tips down in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.